Thank you all for being here, and thank you so much for the time and attention and just really your sincerity about this whole opportunity today. We appreciate that very much. My name is Julia Saltzgaver, and I'm the Executive Director for Quality Connection. Quality Connection is a labor management cooperative. The labor component is IBEW 481, and as you've seen today, you are in the training center for IBEW 481 electricians. The management side, there are about 100 electrical contractors that employ more than 2,000 union electricians. So it's a cooperative, and we focus on common areas and issues, opportunities to advance the industry, workforce development. This is a good example today. And I think I mentioned to some of you that we also conduct, as a point of neutrality, we conduct the drug testing program for our workforce here in Central Indiana. So that's a little bit about Quality Connection. Let me introduce you to the panelists. We have Todd Pancake, who is the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters, right? Jim Patterson, who is the Indianapolis Electrical Joint Apprenticeship and Training Center Director, the location where we are today. Devin Doss, who is leading the Indiana Plan, and Michelle Boyd, who is the Executive Director for Top Notch. So first we were going to just really quickly run through the goals for today, and particularly the goals for this panel. We want to make sure that you understand, don't want to take for granted that, anybody understanding what are the building trades. We talk about it. We have a lot of jargon and words that maybe aren't words that you use every day, so we wanted to make sure that we walk away with an understanding of what are the building trades, what is an apprenticeship program, what characteristics and aptitudes are needed for skilled trades, as well what types of careers and what can a person expect with a career in the skilled trades, and finally what is the process to apply for apprenticeship. So those are our goals today, and particularly with this panel. I'd like to start by asking each of the panelists to introduce themselves and just a brief overview of what their organization mission, goals, and objectives might be. So Devin, do you want to start?
My name is Devin Doss. I'm Executive Director for a program called the Indiana Plan. I am a 481 union electrician. I've been in the trade for about 17 years. I'm actually a product of this program called the Indiana Plan. It helps recruit and it's an outreach program to help recruit women and minorities and to help recruit and get them involved in skilled trades and building trade jobs. I started out as a laborer for about 2 years when I finished with the Indiana Plan, and then I got into the electrical apprenticeship, and where I did 5 years as an apprentice, and then after completing that, I went out as a journeyman wireman, worked for a little while as a service truck driver for ERMCO Electric, and then went back to a company called James H. Drew as a foreman for a little while, and then and I got the opportunity to come here and be executive director for the Indiana Plan. So.
Thank you. Jim?
Yeah, my name's Jim Patterson. I've been in the trade for a lot longer than I'd like to admit, but it's been a great industry. One of the things that we struggle with in the building and construction trades is getting face time with everybody that's a guidance counselor and is going to talk to our students. And so we're really excited about having the opportunity to bring everybody over here. I hope you enjoyed the tour, seeing what we do for our apprentices. We have people in here 10 days, every day for 2 weeks, a 10-day cycle. And so our commitment to our apprentices is huge. We pay for it out of the industry. It doesn't cost them anything. And they have a $2,500 commitment for books during 5 years. And so I don't know where you get an education like that. You earn while you learn. It's, when I was a young man and 18 years old, and my parents said, you need to go to college. And that's what I did. And they wanted me to be a little bit better off than they were when they were my age. And so I had worked construction prior to that. I just kind of had it in my blood. If you think about what really satisfies you at the end of the day, for me, it was being able to turn around and look to see what I got accomplished. And that was just a huge thing for me. Now that I sit behind a desk all day, I got a lot of plates spinning, but I never see anything come to fruition very quickly, and I'm sure everybody can relate to that in here. And so we're looking for the kind of young men and women that need that sense of accomplishment, that want that sense of accomplishment, that are really good employees out there, but they've got the aptitude for math and science because that's what it's all about, learning. We'll teach them the job once they get here. We're just looking for people that have the aptitude, that play well with others. They go out on the job, they're going to show some initiative, they're going to be personable, they have the soft skills, and I'll teach them the job. So that's what I hope to engage everybody here with today, to let you know what kind of individual we're looking for.
Thank you. Michelle?
Try this one. Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Boyd, and I serve as the Executive Director for Top Notch. Top Notch is a labor management association in the union construction industry representing 17 different building trade unions and 14 different apprenticeship programs, as well as more than 4,000 union contractors who employ the folks that go through those apprenticeship programs. Top Notch is the one place where we bring everything together, and why that's important for you guys is that in the union construction industry, you don't declare your major, if you will, after you go to college. So you do have to choose on the front end, do I want to be an electrician, a carpenter, a pipe fitter, that type of thing, before you actually begin your training. So we try to provide one stop where you can come to get information about each one of the 14 different apprenticeship programs. And then our staff tries to serve as the outreach. So if you're looking for information on how to guide a student in the right direction, help them pick an apprenticeship program. If they want to take a tour of one of the apprenticeship programs but you don't know who to call, we serve as that umbrella resource.
Thank you. Todd?
Good afternoon. My name is Todd Pancake. I'm the Director of Education for the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters Joint Apprenticeship and Training Fund. It is a large fund. We have approximately, we just had our trust meeting yesterday, and we're currently sitting at 1,931 apprentices in the program. This is for 8 training centers across Indiana and across Indiana and Kentucky. Our major center is right here in Indianapolis. We have 80,000 square feet. But like Jim was alluding to here a moment ago, this is a good time to be in the trades. This is a good time to be in an apprenticeship. And what we find out is a lot of people just don't know what we have to offer. And so hopefully, I mean, that's my goal, is to come out of here with some recruits that are going to get into our program. This year, we have tested more than we ever have in the history of our program, not just here in Indianapolis, but across both Indiana and Kentucky. So, I mean, the opportunities are here, and Jim also noted that it is a earn while you learn program. In our program, it's not just carpenters, it's millwrights and floor covers, and we can get into some of that a little bit later. But we're setting up here, Jim and I think a lot alike, because I was thinking back 34 years ago, well, basically in 1984, I'll throw that out there, is when I completed my apprenticeship. And not with the dream of being a director, but of being a superintendent. And so all these things have kind of come to pass, and now our goal is to get quality people, and we know that you guys have those quality people, so we just need to make this all work. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. One of our first questions, we heard a little bit this morning that one of the challenges that you all have is not only helping the student understand what the opportunities are, but also making sure that the parent is confident that this is a good choice. And I think one of the factors that can help them understand why this is a good choice is employment outlook. And Michelle, since you sort of umbrella all of the trades, can you talk to us a little bit about employment outlook?
Right. I would say Todd referenced right now is a great time to be in the building trades, and I think that the next few years indicate that is going to be a very strong market, not just in the state of Indiana, but regionally as well. Many contractors, if you listen to Harold Force that sat on the very first panel this morning, The contractors in our sector receive their trained force through these apprenticeship programs. So, and this is not unlike a college degree, so it's not like you can wake up tomorrow and decide that you're going to be a carpenter. So there is a 4-year investment to be able to go through that program. So this is one of those markets that many folks, when they're talking to kids about careers, this is a hot market. And we have many trades that our contractors cannot find folks for right now. Welders, for example, virtually they are paying a premium for welders to come in and work on projects in our area because they cannot find them. So we continue to see a high need for folks in the construction industry. Our employers are continuing to see the need. They see a growth path, but they also agree that finding the right people for the job is what's most critical for them. So not simply filling those spots, but finding the right level of talent.
Thank you very much, Michelle. And since you mentioned right level of talent, again, another question that we've and thought process that we've heard expressed a couple of times today, what are the right aptitudes and skills for a student to bring to as an applicant for one of our programs? Todd, do you want to talk about that a sec?
Sure. First of all, math skills are extremely important, and we need kids, and I'll use the term kids, but and when I say that, our ages are going to fall between, the average age is actually 27 and a half in our program, and most people think apprentice is someone that's 18, 19. We would like to definitely drive that down, but yeah, we need people that cannot just read a tape, but I heard somebody on the panel earlier this morning talk about geometry. Geometry's big in our industry. But all three of the crafts that we teach are highly involved in math. A lot of theory goes into it. Especially I think of our floor covering program. They have to go into a small room and maybe put an Indianapolis Colts horseshoe in the floor or something that's where they don't have a lot to lay out from, or maybe it's just a part of something. And you have to have that theory and that know-how, because our contractors, once they go on that job, they're hired. Our kids are hired to produce a product, and so math is a big thing. And I heard something else earlier today on this work ethic. We need kids that are not just going to show up for school, but are going to show up on the job every day and on time. Our contractors are counting on those individuals to be there. And up front, we're going to make it real clear that this is in their opening week. If you can't make it to work, every day and on time, this is the wrong business. We make that real clear because that's one of our biggest challenges from our contractors. So, but math skills, a lot of soft skills are also important because we're dealing with people, and to get a job done, it's a teamwork effort. So I think those are very important, Julia.
I think they are very important. Thank you very much. I think another thing that is a question that I've heard asked several times today is, where do I go? Where do I turn to? How do I apply? What's the process? And we do have for you at your seats there a mouse pad that we prepared. We really hope that you'll take this back to your whatever your workspace is, your office, your cubicle, whatever, because we know that, or we think, when a kid walks in and talks to you about becoming an accountant, you kind of know how to find that resource. We wanted to have this for you in your office as a handy resource when somebody says, hey, I want to be a carpenter. What do I do? Here are a couple of the attributes and kind of the thought process to go through, and then the resource that you can log on to. And it is the Top Notch website that we have up here on screen for you that you can see as well, and that will help you get to the application process and more information on each of those apprenticeship programs. But talking more specifically about the application program, Devin actually served on the committee here at the JTC. So Devin, can you talk to us a little bit about the application process and including the interview as well?
The application process, you usually have to, when you go in and fill out application process here for the JTC, you have to get your high school transcripts in. Like I said, you have to have a passing grade in math, get your transcripts and all that mailed in, valid driver's license. And once you complete that, then you'll be scheduled for an aptitude test. When you successfully complete that aptitude test, then you'll be scheduled for an interview. The interview is where you go in front of, and you have 3 members of the contracting side and 3 members from labor, and I was one of the members from the labor side. During that interview, you get a series of questions, and we just kind of determine from the way you answer those questions if you will be a pretty good applicant for our program or not.
Give us a sample question.
One of them would be name a team activity you would like to participate in. And some of the apprentices or some of the applicants would say just what we do on the job, working as a team on the job, getting the, pulling wire, installing conduit. That's one of the things that I like to do. And you might get some of the younger applicants. Thanks. Some of the younger applicants will say, name a sport that they did in high school. And so you're getting some pretty good answers.
Nice. Okay, thank you. Yeah. And Jim, can you? Oh, okay. Yes.
You said that one of the things was when the transcript sent a passing grade in math. You mentioned geometry. Is there a certain level of math that has to be on the transcript? Is it Algebra 1 and geometry, or do they have to get through Algebra 2?
Typically, it's high school algebra. One successful year completing high school algebra. And I'd say that's pretty standard for most of the programs. And Devin mentioned the JATC, and for those of you that don't know what that means, all of our union apprenticeship programs are jointly administered and jointly funded. And so it's not just union guys sitting around the table trying to figure out who's going to be the next apprentice. It's guys like Harold Forsett was sitting here too. The management's got a big stake in this, and a lot of people that I talk to over the years, they think the unions and management fight about everything. That's not the case at all, especially not in training. And everybody's good. Todd will agree with this. When they come in and they're doing what they can for the apprenticeship program, everybody's really good at taking off their management hat or their labor hat, and they do what's best for training. We want to make sure and get the best qualified people out there because they're the future of our industry. And so we don't want to make that mistake going in. We all have probably 80 or 85% completion rates. And so it's not for everybody. And if they don't want to do it after they get in, we understand that. But we're looking for good qualified applicants that are going to be good apprentices for 5 years, but then they're going to be good employees for another 25 or 30 years after that. And they're learning their work ethic while they're here. That we're honing their work ethic, but we're looking for good employees the first day they come in here to fill out an application.
Is that true across the board of the other programs too, that 80 to 85% completion rate? Is that roughly what you see for students or individuals who enter the apprenticeship program?
I would say it varies a little bit. Yeah, I mean, if you can imagine being up on top of a roof when it's August and it's 108 degrees, they probably have a little higher dropout rate than we do. But yeah, I would say especially for the skilled crafts, the plumbers and pipe fitters, electricians, carpenters, yeah, I would say that's probably true across the board.
All right.
I'll get it right. One thing to keep in mind too is it's according to when you want to take that rate from. And long story short with that is we have a lot of people just come in and fill out the application, and sometimes if they're taken from the applicant also, then they may not get through our workings assessment. So we might lose somebody, or it might be somebody just coming in to fill out an application for their unemployment insurance qualification. So we get into lots of things when you look at that rate. But once you get somebody that they know this is what they want to do, Jim's right on with that.
Yeah, I've got a question over here.
So is the work keys test your consistent aptitude test, or does it vary?
That's for the Carpenters program. Now some other ones do that. We do applied mathematics, locating information, observation, and teamwork. And teamwork is the biggest challenge that we run into, and that's a level 4 in all those. I know Randy with the operator does that too.
Michelle, can you talk to us a little bit about degrees, certifications that folks earn as they go through these programs?
One of the most important elements of the apprenticeship program right now, and I think I spend a lot of time, as some of these guys do up here as well, talking to folks like you about careers in the union construction industry. And one of the most important sales tools, somebody said earlier, how do you convince parents and parents to endorse their children choosing this as a career option? And I think one of the most important elements is the college degree that is attached to the program. I'm going to talk really loudly. The college degree that is attached to the program. So if you go through a 4-year apprenticeship program, you are also asked as part of that program then to take corresponding courses at Ivy Tech Community College. And so you complete that 4-year apprenticeship program, and then you end up with an associate's degree in applied science, and that is at no additional cost to the student. So as a parent, and I'm a parent, I have a 16-year-old daughter starting to look at colleges and how much that's going to cost, I think one of the strongest selling tools you have is to explain to them they can have 2 years of college provided for while they're earning an income with benefits, with health insurance, while they're going through that apprenticeship program versus going to college for those 2 years and having college debt. And so I think that's yes, and Jim just reminded me, so over the course of the history of our partnership with Ivy Tech, more than 10,000 students have earned that associate's degree in applied science. So I think that if you're looking for a tool to go to the parents to have that conversation about, I would start there.
Thank you. Yeah, a question back here?
Right, Devin, can you talk about kind of how Indiana Plan works? So I know you said minority and women trying to get into it, but so if I have a student, like how do they participate in your program and then connect with the trade?
Okay. Well, in so many words, we're like the pre-apprenticeship program. A little bit about myself, I guess I'll start there. I grew up not far from here, over in the Hallville area, single parent home, father in prison, that type of thing. And I was blessed to get a track scholarship to Vincennes University. Dropped out of college, just kind of at home, trying to figure out what I was going to do. Then I found out about the program called the Indiana Plan. I didn't have anyone in my family that were tradesmen. I didn't know anything about being a tradesman, skilled trades, or construction jobs, apprenticeship programs. I didn't know anything about that. So somebody told me about the Indiana Plan, and so I went over to the program. And again, it's an outreach program. And you go through 2 weeks of training. You do 80 hours. We really touch on soft skills to kind of get you ready for, to get ready for the job and have a good attitude going on the job, understanding what you're about to face when you get out on the job. Then we do OSHA 10 training. That's the safety aspects of it. Get certified in OSHA so you can go out on the job and work. We do drug testing, and we get you your certification, what's called a mixed card out of Midwest Toxicology, to show that you are drug-free when you go out on the job site. And so that's kind of what we do. But to get involved, you go on our website, fill out an application. You have to have a high school diploma or GED, 18 and over, valid driver's license. And then we administer the TABE test. The test is for adult basic education. You have to have a 9th grade level or above on that. And that's all you need to get involved in our apprenticeship program, our pre-apprenticeship program, I'm sorry. And then you do, like I say, you do 80 hours of training, totally free. And then it's like for that young man or young lady that's undecided. If you don't know if you want to be an electrician or a carpenter, it gives you a chance to go out and actually try that out. We have job opportunities, placements that come up. And so if Jim does, and if all his apprentices are out working, he'll give me a call and he'll say, Devin, I got a position I need to fill for 3 or 4 trainees. Do you have anyone? And I'll say yes. And so that'll give that young man or young lady a chance to go out and work, team up with the journeyman and work as what we call a trainee, to give a chance to get some experience on the job. And it also will make them a better applicant when they go and apply for the electrical apprenticeship program. And the same thing with the carpenters and the plumbers and the pipe fitters. So I partner with all the trades, and when all of their apprentices are out to work and the contractors are calling saying, hey, we need more help, then I'll get a call, and that allows me to place some people out there to give it a try.
Yeah.
What is the website?
www.indianaplan.org.
So is this a summer program, or when does it fall in the year?
We have classes 4 times a year, so we go year round.
And they just have to be done with high school?
Yes, yep. And I also go to some of the high schools and talk about the program. I partner up with different organizations, the Goodwill, the Excel Centers. The JAG program is one of my biggest programs that I go to that I can get into the high schools with and just try to recruit from there. The churches, the barbershops, the beauty shops, so anywhere I can go.
Yeah. Yes?
Well, this isn't so much a question, but we found an internet resource when we're talking to students and families to explain, to help sell. And of all things, it's MicroWorks. And then he has a foundation called Profoundly Disconnected. And it sells the case for skilled trades. And it's very good resources, lots of videos. He presents to the Senate in some of the videos. And it's a very compelling set of resources. So MicroWorks and Profoundly Disconnected, which is his foundation.
Thank you.
So if a student does not, up to 14, where would be the first place? Because if each of the trades have different kind of requirements, is there a very basic assessment that would kind of guide them where they would, or? I
would start right there on Top Notch's website. Can you click open one of the icons up here? Do you have that mouse?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't have.
Yeah, I mean, if you open it up
steering
for the
wheel.
electricians,
Yeah.
then you'll see where it's got a full description of what an electrician does. It's got all 10 training centers around the state of Indiana. It's got contact information on who to get in touch with. And so it's 15 different crafts, and they can take a little bit of time and go through and kind of determine which way they want to go, what interests them the most. And that's what we're looking for, is if they're interested in it, then they're going to be better students, better employees, everything like that.
And Jim, speaking of interest, high school clubs or activities that you feel lend themselves or will help a student understand or explore that?
Yeah, that's a really tough one for me. We have a lot of people that are apprentices for us that were in the FFA and tech clubs that they know, like somebody said before, they build things. And when I was a kid, you had to fix the lawnmower. Now you go buy a new one. Or mini bikes. We had mini bikes, and I was always breaking that mini bike, and I wasn't going to get a new one, so I had to fix it. That kind of stuff. Worked on cars. Worked at a gas station where it wasn't a self-serve gas station. You pumped your own gas, and you did oil changes for customers and stuff like that. And you don't get that these days. All these kids are on their phones or tablets, and nobody's out building or breaking anything anymore. And so the club one, the farm kids, they get out and they break stuff, and they're out in the field. They're good hard workers, but we don't want to limit ourselves to all farmers. We'd have to restripe the parking lot and make it bigger spaces for tractors if we did that.
Well, good point. Yes. Yeah. Todd, can you talk to us a little bit about continuing education opportunities? Once they've gotten through, there are opportunities for lifelong learning as well, right?
Sure, that's right. Upon completion of the program, this is the way we sell it to them on graduation is that you got to set a new goal, and that goal is we share with them that doctors, any professionals such as yourselves have to have continuing education, and we have the program is laid out for them for their entire career, and that's at no cost. And they kind of look at you like, what do you mean? And most of the trades are like that. In other words, this continuing education, the construction industry is changing every day, and our membership understands that, and they expect us on the training department to have the answers and to have that training laid out for them, and we do. And so when they graduate, we hand out the continuing education form, everything we've got to offer, and let them know if they want to be successful in this career, that they're going to have to step up for that, and they do. And that's what's big about this. This investment in our program, it's $100 per year for their books, and they're coming out with their associate's degree, their journey certificate, and we really haven't talked about that, but that allows an individual to their work area just grew from whether it's central Indiana or in our situation, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio. Now you can work any place in the United States or Canada. And there's always work somewhere, and that's where that term journey person or journeyman comes from. It's that opportunity to travel any place, and so, but those skills have to go with you, and all of us have all these crafts that we're talking about. Our internationals put out curriculum to where it's standardized across the United States. And just with that, one other thing that everyone needs to know, that all of our programs are registered through the United States Department of Labor too. So Big Brother's watching everything that we do to make sure that we're in compliance. So just a few facts that you need to know.
And this is work that can't be exported, actually, so that's good too. Yeah.
Most work sites I've been on the last several years have had more technology than I would say are in our schools. So other than being able to fix microphones in your industry, what do you see as a technology minimum that you would like to see students come into your programs with?
Well, everybody has, especially if you're going to get into a leadership position. And yeah, we need people that can operate hammers and screw guns, but those leaderships, you have to have computer skills. And we can give a little bit of that, but that's taken, if we're having to do it in our classrooms, it's taken away from other things that we, so I think, it's really big. And that's, I mean, even with, I'm getting into site specific here in the carpenter industry, we're a dirt to drapes. Our craft is there. When you go into that field, well, everything now is loaded into a total station instrument, and it just takes out so much human error. But you got to have people that can run this equipment, and so it's big. But you still have to have the math background in our industry to be able to operate the instrument for the total station. So. A lot of robotics is coming into play in the construction industry too.
Thank you.
I didn't mean
Got
to
a
hog
question?
that.
Oh,
Sorry.
we've got a question over here.
So we've been hearing about the numbers needed for the workforce and the shortage. I know when we did our tour this morning, Jim, you mentioned that there's 250 people on a waiting list for 50 spots. Is there going to be growth within your training programs to get more people through, or is it that those 250 people are not yet appropriately qualified, or there's just a disconnect there?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have 250 people on that waiting list, but it's a ranked list, and we interview monthly. And so even if somebody comes in and just knocks your socks off, that doesn't mean that 2 or 3 people the next month aren't going to come in and score even higher than them. And so when we start a new apprenticeship class, we take 25 or 30 or 50 people right off the top of the list, and then everybody else moves up. And so I always tell the applicants, if you haven't received a call from me by the first week of November, that means you didn't get in this class. We're going to take another class in May. And I give everybody that takes our aptitude test, we go through an orientation, so there's no misunderstanding about that. It's mandatory. They have to be there. And so I have a lot of people call me that second week in November and say, what do I need to do to enhance my skills? And I'll pull their folder and go through their math grades or their attendance or how many employers they've worked for in the 5 years they've been out of high school, because that tells you a lot about them. If they can't hold a job, then how good of an employer are they going to be? So yeah, I mean, like we've said before, it's a good time to be in the construction industry, to be an apprentice. We place the apprentices out on jobs. We rotate them. The electricians do. They have to work for a minimum of 3 contractors, so they have a diversity of training. But all the forecast for construction work over the next 3 to 5 years is really bright. And so it's a good time for people to come in and apply now. And typically, as an apprentice, whether it's a 4-year or 5-year program, very, very rarely do I ever have an apprentice miss any time because the contractor lays them off. The contractors will call and say, hey, on Friday, we're running low on work. On Friday, we're going to send 2 apprentices in. If they call me on Wednesday and let me know that, I'll have a job for them Monday morning.
Yes.
I was just going to ask, can they retake the aptitude test? So like if they take it and score really low and they talk to you and say, I didn't make it for November, what do I do to get my, can they move themselves up? So like I'm horrible, I didn't do well, but I'm on the list and I know 50 people are going to outplace me.
can I do something between November and May to move myself up?
If they show us that they've gone back, and if somebody called me and said, look, I know my math grades weren't very good and I didn't pass the aptitude test, then I would send them either to Ivy Tech to take an adult education math class, or maybe to one of the township schools if they can't afford to go to Ivy Tech. And as long as they show me that they're making the effort and they have completed, then according to our national standards, then I can grant, or the trustees of our program can grant them a second interview. We'll allow them to take the aptitude test first. They have to pass that and then come back in for another interview.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yes.
Is there any option for undocumented students?
Options for undocumented students?
You want to take that one?
We're not aware of any.
That is a challenge. We do not work. Basically, we're going to have a green card to be able to get into the program, and we do have some undocumented workers that get organized in through another route, but that does become a challenge for us because most of that actually falls back on our contractors and our basically our employers. So we can't put them in a bind too, challenge, that's what I'll say.
Okay, thank you.
Does the Top Notch website have information about, like, your industry has a 50-person waiting list, but this one has no waiting list, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, I can take that too. We don't, only because those numbers change on such a frequent basis. But I can tell you, when we get phone calls in our office, and sometimes we'll hear from parents, and sometimes we'll hear from a prospective student that will say, I'm considering the following 3 or 4 options. Can you tell me some more about them? We can describe to them what the work looks like, and sometimes they can explain, this is a student maybe with a background that is not ideal, and then there are areas that are better than others for that, so we can help guide them that way. But those numbers change so frequently from one trade to the next. That is not on there.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Thank you. Yeah.
Do any of the high school dual credit classes help the student move along the program faster?
Yeah, speaking just for the carpenters and millwrights, we have a career connections program to where actually we have 4 years worth of curriculum that we would love to get in every high school. But those that do participate, yes, there is dual credit and there is value to us as far as the more you participate in our program, whether it's 1 year or 4 years, of course, the more value. We lose most of our apprentices in the first and second year just due to the fact, one is what Jim was alluding to, it's cold outside, it's hot outside, or I have to work. I mean, you get into that scenario. So what we find out is, like, somebody's been in a building trades program at a technical school or at a high school, they've already tested the waters, and they're more apt. We have great success with those kids. So with us actually supplying curriculum for that too, now we can come in and say, Jane Doe or Johnny Doe, you got direct entry. And then we can go one step further if they take all 4 years of it, and we can start them out as a second-year apprentice, which now to the individual, that's a $2.50 per hour pay raise coming in. And just we really didn't talk about wages, but that's I'm gonna have to look at my cheat sheet because I got so many of them, but that's about $16 an hour, so that's pretty good deal.
All right. Lots of good questions. Any other questions at this point? Anything you all want to add, any one of you?
Is it almost due? Did I get lucky? Yes. I just want to say, for me, like I said, after going to different classes and talking to students, I find that their first option is college. I mean, you ask them, what do you plan on doing? I want to go to college. I want to go to college. Whether it's really a reality for them or not, they want to go to college. And then the next option after that is military. Well, if I can't go to college, I'm going to go to the military. And then after that, it's like, well, I'm just going to go and find a job and find something to do. for me, that was kind of my option. If I didn't get into college, and okay, I'm gonna try the military. So after I dropped out of college, military, I couldn't get in the military because of a medical condition. So I just went out in the workforce. But once I got into the apprenticeship program, said at 22 years old, I was making $50,000 a year. I had insurance, I had retirement that I didn't even know about because I didn't think about insurance. I didn't think about retirement at that young age because I'm gonna live forever. I'm invincible. So, but all that was provided for me, and I didn't have to sign up for it. So then, when I got a little bit older, and I think about retirement, and then I thought about insurance, it was there for me. So, I think it's a great opportunity. I like to get out and let as many people know that apprenticeship programs, they're a parallel path to high school, to college. Parallel path to military, and just take advantage of it. It's there. So.
All right. Yeah.
More of a commentary, but also something that's kind of hit me today. Just seeing some of the math, the trig, the things that they're doing in the classrooms versus where some of the hands-on things. I wouldn't say that this isn't college. And I don't know, and you talked about the Ivy Tech program and the 2-year degree. I'm not sure how that can be sold more that it is college in a lot of respects, and that paradigm shift. Because just because it's taught in a little different format doesn't mean it's not the same type of material. So I think somehow that may help us all, and to see how we can sell that 2-year program as this is college.
Higher education.
It is higher education. They got to get rid of that stigma.
Yeah, thank you.
You can help us get rid of it. Yeah, I mean, really, and we would love to come out to your schools and talk to you. We do career fairs every day. We're going to be in Lebanon. We're going to make sure and make that work for us. So, okay.
Oh, okay.
We're going to make sure and be there on the 10th. Yeah. So, and that goes for anybody in the room. I mean, we get notified at Walker Career Center and Decatur Township and different places like that. And I know Todd either goes or sends somebody, and I do a lot of them. Devin does a lot of them. So we're willing to come out and talk to the students, and I hope everybody understands what kind of students we're looking for now. And but we're a resource, so please give us a call.
And just talked earlier, but you're also more than receptive to have teachers come on site. So we talked a little how it would be nice if actually classroom teachers had an opportunity to come visit, spend some time, and see what the practical application of their content instruction is.
You bet.
So I assume we talked. You and I talked.
Yeah.
I assume that's across, Michelle, all of your representative
Absolutely.
districts.
The invitation is to everybody. I can almost say to all of our training centers, because then your kids get to actually talk with our kids.
Do you do evening sessions?
That's usually
Should we bring groups down in the evenings or afternoons?
We even have some trade programs that train on Saturdays. For example, the ironworkers, and so we can make arrangements for them to go visit on a Saturday if they need to.
If we wanted to limit them out of school,
Yeah.
could we do some like that type of stuff?
With ours, apprenticeship training is all during. We have our kids in basically 1 week at a time each quarter, so they get 160 classroom hours. But our continuing education, that would be going on of an evening, which that has its own sales pitch too. So, but one real major thing that I like to share with everyone is you can send your kids off to for 4 years of college, and they can come home with a lot of debt and not a job. We're given the jobs in the beginning. And I did a little quick math just for an apprentice here in Indianapolis for the 4 years. They're going to make $115,000. That's meeting the minimum requirement over the 4 years of their apprenticeship. That's meeting the minimum. We have students that are third year making 6 figures. Now they're working more. That's based on a 40-hour week. The ones that are making 6 figures, they're working 6 and 7 days. That's their choice. But the thing of it is, these kids are coming out debt-free. They've got insurance. They've got a pension or a retirement that is going to be guaranteed that it's going to be there. So there, it's just a whole lot to offer, but we need to knock down that barrier Kevin, that you were talking about, of those parents that, you know, I could take somebody through Terre Haute, Indiana, and I can talk about every job that I worked on when I was working with my tools, and that's a pride that comes with it, you know. And these kids are all going to get that, and nobody can take it away from them. So.
If I could add, because I know you talk a lot with the state and lobbyists and organizations and opportunities for grants and things, and there's a lot of great things, but I really, and we talked about a tour for a teacher, I mean, it would be great for that, but I think even better is you take a 1 week period in the summer and you bring a teacher in, or some teachers to watch what you're doing here. Now they're going to not, I mean, they're going to get what we're talking about here, but they're really going to see the application. Because I'll be honest, it's really hard in a teaching profession. You learn a lot about theory, but you're not out on the job site.
Right.
And if they can go through what you're showing the kids and show the trig and the geometry and the application that you're doing, they're going to take that back to the classroom and engage the kids more and be able to, the kids are going to benefit from that because who's talking to them about it is the teachers, but they're not going to be able to talk that until they can get a week in a facility to sit in the back of that classroom and watch what's going on up there and then take that back. And so when we talk about grants and doing things on a grand nature, pay a teacher $1,000 to come in for the summer and go through the training that you're doing and see what they take back to the classroom and how many kids that benefits. So just a thought if you ever are in discussion about some things that may be good grant opportunities.
That's a great idea.
Money well spent.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Well, we do thank you, and we agree. I think this has been a positive conversation. We want you very much to understand that we have a great career, great education opportunity, low education expense, and a skill that will last a lifetime. So we do appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.